Welcome to Becoming Parents Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell, mom of 18 and executive director of the Doula Co-op of Nevada. With more than 15 years in birth work, I've had the privilege of walking beside families through life's transitions. My work centers on connection, community, and amplifying voices that too often go unheard. Each of these episodes is an honest conversation about the messy, beautiful, and transformative experiences that shape us as parents and as people. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the incredible guests who show up with courage and authenticity to share their stories with us. Let's dive right in. Welcome to Becoming Parents Podcast. Today I have Tami Gaines. How are you doing today?
I am awesome.
Me too. I want you to jump in and share your parenting journey. I think there's a lot we're going to want to cover today.
Yeah, my parenting journey is it's a lot. Like it's that whole thing of we know exactly how parenting is going to go. That all went right out the window immediately. So I'll just rewind very quickly. I was a hard driving corporate woman. I went to Columbia and got my MBA and got into a very competitive management training program at Colgate-Palmolive. So my whole vision was like getting to the corner office. That was all I was about. So my last corporate job, I was head of US marketing for a newly public company, and they hired me to be a change agent. So I was the only woman that was not a secretary. I was the only woman that was on the board of directors. And during one of those meetings, they said, "Hey, can you wear shorter skirts so we have something to look at while you're giving your presentations?" So I was the only Black person that did not work in the plant. And I got called the N-word more times in my first month of work there than ever. So anyway, on one of these trips, I know there's a lot to unpack, but on one of my trips back to New York, I was in Virginia. My boss said to me, "Hey, by the way, no pregnancies for 3 years. We have a lot of work to do." I was like, great, because guess what? I was pregnant and I hadn't told them yet. So when I finally told them, they started to create a paper trail to have me fired. Now, I was the president of one of their subsidiary companies. I was the head of US marketing. I had 14 people working for me. I just negotiated the first ever licensing deal with Revlon. And these guys are creating a paper trail to have just basically saying I was completely inept. So I called my dad. He was a lawyer. And I told him like what was going on. And he was like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you're calling to complain, or do you want to take action, or are you going to leave? Like, what's your plan?" I had no plan. So I ended up driving to Jersey to hang out with my parents for the weekend. And I talked to my dad, and he was like, "When you wake up in the morning, what would make you happy?" And I said that those guys pay for being sexist, racist, misogynist, like all of that. So I ended up suing them. And in between all that, I had my daughter. So let me just like sidebar. I was playing golf with my then husband. My water broke on the 9th hole. We got lost going back to the clubhouse, and I ended up being in labor for 36 hours. Everything just stopped. The midwife was awesome. And I just finally was like, I don't know how the anatomy works, but can you just reach in there and pull her out? Like, I didn't want to have a C-section. I was just like, open it up wide and pull her out, which is what she did. And that hurt like hell. But anyway, like, so now my daughter is here and I'm so excited. And I'm in the middle of this massive lawsuit with this publicly traded company. So I started bringing my daughter with me to work, and because I had no other choice. She was a baby. So anyway, they took my office away, and they gave me a desk right by the receptionist, one computer, and my phone. So I just started nursing my daughter at my desk, and that's when I started my consulting company on their dime. I started putting together my business plan and all this. And then they finally said, like, "Well, you can't bring your daughter to work." I was like, "Are you releasing me then?" So anyway, long story short, I sued, I won. But it was in that moment that I realized the kind of mom I wanted to be, because I was traveling like 5 days a week. I was working 16-hour days for somebody else. And the minute I looked at my daughter, I was like, oh, I'm done with all this. So, yeah, while they were in the middle of trying to have me fired, I started my consulting company. I landed my first couple of clients. Highly recommended, by the way. If you're going to start your own business, do it while you're working.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I won. And part of my settlement was for them to move me back to Jersey. And I never looked back. I just have always had my own business. I always tell women, I'm divorced. You have to have your financial house in order or else nothing else works. Like everything else just becomes like super hard. Okay, so that was my daughter. My son was born accidentally at home. I was watching the US Open. It was Venus Williams' first Open, and I refused to leave the TV. And suddenly I was like, ow, ow. And my parents were there, and I was like, I think I'm having contractions. My dad had his jacket on and out the front door before I could say another word. He's like, whatever's happening, I don't want any part of it.
Maybe
so. Yeah, so my son was born in my dirty bathroom at home. We have the 911 call because my ex freaked out and left, and I was there by myself. And then sometime later, I became unexpectedly pregnant with twins. And I couldn't think of a good reason not to have them. We were all grown up. We had money. We had a giant house. I always wanted a bunch of kids. So when I told him, he gave me an ultimatum. He said I could have him or I could have the twins, but I couldn't have both. So I said, I'll take the twins. I don't even like you that much. So started a nasty divorce. I ended up on bedrest in the hospital for 5 weeks trying to stay pregnant. And then they were born extremely premature, 25 weeks, 1 pound, 12 ounces each. My daughter spent 4 months in the NICU. My son spent 18 months in the hospital. He still has very significant special needs. My daughter's a rock star. She's actually right now in Costa Rica on a science research trip for spring break.
Nice.
So yeah, you just never know. You never know what parenting is going to give you, but I'm so grateful for all the different experiences because it really shaped who I am and it informed how I show up in the world.
How old are the kids? Because the twins are 25 weeks. My oldest daughter's almost 34, and she was also in NICU. Like
Okay.
So how long ago was that?
They're going to be 20 on Saturday.
Okay.
So my oldest kid, my daughter's 27 and my son is 25. And then the twins are going to be 20.
Also awesome. I'm also from Rhode Island originally, so your accent is just so fun for me.
I don't have an accent. I think you have a filter. Whatever you're talking about, I don't know.
Yeah,
no, I went to school in Boston.
My accent's pretty much gone, but if I hear people talking, it's harder. And every once in a while, something, or if I've had a drink, if I get angry, like there are times that the accent definitely comes forward. But the other day I was walking in through the house and I answered my husband and I said something and I looked up and I went, did Rhode Island just bust out into this house? Like it was, anyway, yeah, I don't have an accent either. That's incredible that the twins were 25 weeks 20 years ago and both survived. I mean, when you think, I don't think that this is a gross analogy because we use ground beef all the time. But when I was in the NICU, there was a baby that was 1.5 pounds, and you said 1.12 pounds, right? Yeah. That's less than 2 pounds of hamburger meat.
Yeah.
If you try to take 1 pound, 12 ounces and shape it into a baby, like it doesn't even make sense. To try to do that. And I'm not trying to be gross.
I told somebody, it was like, if you go to the deli and you order 1.5 pounds of turkey, they were smaller than what you get at the deli.
That's a thing that's like mind-boggling to realize. So they're 20 now. What were your son's health issues, and was it due to the prematurity?
Yeah. So by the way, they both had a very poor prognosis. So they gave me no information. They basically said if they live to the end of next week, then we'll start talking about, what we're going to do.
Right.
So they both had health challenges. When my daughter came home, she was on oxygen, she was on an apnea monitor,
Yep.
she was on a whole bunch of meds, which I very quickly got her off of. But she had special needs for her first 3 years of life. So I had therapists coming into the house, we had nurses coming into the house. Trey didn't come home until, 14 months later.
Yeah.
They told me he was not going to make it. So I said, if he's not going to make it, he's not going to make it at home, because he was 14 months old at this point. And just all sorts of surgeries, heart surgery, hernia surgery, like everything was just wrong because he wasn't done cooking.
Yeah.
He just wasn't done cooking. So the plan was to get him to a rehab. He was on a ventilator. He had a trach. He was oxygen dependent, eating through a G tube in his stomach, lots of meds. He spent a lot of time restrained because he was always pulling out his trach. So anyway, I was like, well, I just want to get him home. I want him not to make it at home with his siblings and me. So got him to the rehab. We got the ventilator settings down low enough where I could bring him home and have a nurse help me manage him at home. I got to tell you, Jennifer, within 3 days of him being home, he was like a whole different kid. It was like the laughter, and I had a dog, and like my house was chaotic, and it was happy chaos. And all of a sudden he went from like 1 foot in the grave to like, oh my God, this kid is going to make it. Mm-hmm. So he's my warrior and he's my inspiration. Both of them, whenever, listen, let me tell you, all my kids are inspiring in their own ways. But yeah, so he still eats through a G tube. He's still oxygen dependent. He has massive behavior problems. We spent a lot of time in and out of psych units, but they don't have pediatric psych units. And don't get me started on that. That's a whole nother thing. So yeah, he's at a residential treatment facility just outside of Philly. And in a year, I need to make a plan. He turns, 21. They're out of the system.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what's next.
Which is hard. I mean, my son who had autism was in independent living, because you want them to have, like, I don't want a 40-year-old autistic man on my couch any more than he wants that,
Right.
He's verbal, he can work, he can go to school and take classes. Does he do great? No, but he's able. So like, how do you give them as much autonomy as possible and still feel like safe and secure? And there's a lot to balance, and he took over his own care, which is great.
Yeah, my son's not capable of that.
Right.
He can't read past like second grade. He can't do math. Like, he can do math, but he doesn't understand money or time. Like, that was my whole goal for the last couple of years. Like, if we could teach him money and time, then he can maybe get a job somewhere.
Yeah.
So the truth is, he doesn't know either, because he eats through a G tube. Somebody has to like feed him.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I want to figure out how to get him as autonomous as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also sort of down on putting a 21-year-old in a group home with a bunch of 45-year-olds. Like, there's a limit to what I'm willing to
I know
put up with.
It's so hard. Now, your husband, you're pregnant with twins, and he's like, pick me or them, which let's not even talk about that reaction. When I read that, I was like, oh, really? I'll go talk to him. You want me to go talk to him? Like,
Exactly.
I'll go to bat for you, Tami.
All sorts of women line up to be like, what?
I'm sure, because this is like 20 plus years ago. Has he had?
By the way, real quick, Jennifer, he told me to take some time and think about it, and he started to walk away. I was like, I don't need any time. Turn around and come right on back. We're gonna handle this right now.
Yeah, no time needed for that one.
No, I'm good.
He was already obviously involved in the first two kids. You were married for them. Was he involved with the younger two? Was he involved with any of them? How did that go for the rest of? You were a single mom raising them.
I was a single mom most of my married life.
Yeah.
When I look back on it, like, I did vacations by myself with the kids, and I was the one showing up to their stuff at school, and I was the PTA president. So he was very hands-on with the two older kids. Although he went on the lam after we got divorced, so we wouldn't have to pay child support or alimony. So nobody saw him for like 6 months. And he did not engage. I'm going to be careful about how I say this. He didn't really engage with the twins until they were probably like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Like
It was
he
hard.
couldn't handle the NICU. Every time he ended up getting kicked out. Like security said, when she's here, he can't come visit because he would just come scream at me in
Yeah.
the middle of an open NICU. He was so mad.
Yeah.
Now that I look back on it, I probably have like more empathy, but in the moment, I was like, "Get out." He was like, "Is this what you wanted?"
Oh,
Pointing to the twins. I said, "Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted."
yeah.
So yeah, it was listen, men are different than women.
Yeah.
I updated my book and I put a chapter in there specifically for men
Mm-hmm.
because I think men have a harder path in the NICU. They're
Yeah.
not as connected. They're not breastfeeding. They're not, you know what I mean?
Yep.
They're not doing kangaroo care for the most part.
Which is a shame. But yeah, I mean, I get that. Also, they're working. I mean, I know when I delivered
Yeah.
my first baby, my ex-husband wasn't there. He was military and he wasn't there, and I was
Yeah.
alone. And then when he showed up thinking, we want to try to get him here before his daughter dies so he could see her when she's alive. And she pulled through. She's 34 now. But yeah, the reactions, the connection, the like, none of it is the same. And I don't think we can expect it to. And how do we bridge some of that gap? And those are other separate conversations. So you had
Yeah.
started your business with your first daughter born. Now time's gone on. The twins probably, it's time consuming. Babies in NICU and health
Full
needs.
time.
And I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm saying it's very time consuming. And so you're navigating 4 kids, 2 with higher needs for a long period of time, extended period of time. Um, take me through your businesses. You mentioned a book. I'm excited to talk about Boom Boom Butter.
Okay.
They're kind of like there are things a little all over the place. So take us through the business side of parenting.
Sure. By the way, there's a through line. So my through line has always been economic equality,
Mm.
especially when my ex stopped paying child support, stopped paying alimony, and I was left holding the bag with 4 kids and a big house and a lot of expenses. So I have a consulting company, which is great. That's what I started when my daughter was born. But the truth is, when you're doing consulting, you're only as good as your next client, right? You're always hustling for your next paycheck, basically your next fee. So when I ended up in bed rest on the hospital, I called my competitor, who I knew really well, and I gave her all my clients. I was like, I can't. I like there was no way I could do that from the bed, which ended up being 5 or 6 weeks in the hospital. Then I was navigating the twins, so I got rid of my consulting company. But because my income was like this, because it's consulting, I started another business at that time which was in health and nutrition, which threw off residual income. So while I was in the hospital, I built that business. I built it in minutes, making phone calls while I was driving 45 minutes to and from the hospital. When I went to go take lunch, I would read, I would make more phone calls. So that business was throwing off $5,000 a month while I was in the hospital, whether I worked or not. So I am a huge fan of businesses that throw off residual income.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on one right now. There's this Scandinavian company bringing at-home blood testing to the US. No
Yes.
one's ever heard of it. They're
Yes,
brand new.
I have. But when you're in the fitness industry and you're talking
Uh,
about like health and wellness and fitness and peptides and like all the stuff that we can't do here that they do normally in other countries. So I was
exactly.
really excited about this.
Yeah, so it's super cool. Like I'll give you my website. But the way Boom Boom Butter came is that when I was on bed rest, they gave me magnesium every day to stop the contractions.
Mhm.
And I was like, what's the deal with magnesium? So I had nothing better to do. I started researching magnesium and I realized like magnesium is the mineral that nobody knows about. Most people are deficient and
Mhm.
it's critical for 600 body functions. So I decided, instead of just slapping magnesium on the side of a bottle, that I would hide it in the benefits. So I actually had an entire line. I had stress relief products, sports relief, but where I landed, what was the most fun was Boom Boom Butter. So when men are magnesium deficient, everything below the waist basically doesn't work right. So all these guys that are on Viagra and Cialis, it is literally traced back to magnesium deficiency. So I created the world's only and first magnesium-based sexual lubricant. It's good for women also, but basically you rub it on, like whether you're having sex or you're masturbating, you use this instead of whatever you normally use. You get your recommended dose of magnesium, and it's has 5 of the most important herbs for men's reproductive health. So it's great. It's great for your libido. It's great for your stamina. It helps support your prostate. My dad had prostate cancer. My daughter got prostate cancer. So this is really a great preventative treatment to help stave off prostate cancer. It just has a ton of benefits, and it's all in a lube. So what I have 3 brothers, I have 2 sons, I have uncles, and what do? They have sex and they masturbate. What better product?
Both things are happening, sometimes simultaneously. You never know. Yeah, that was like, I was like, this is an offshoot, but it really isn't an offshoot. That was kind of what I was trying to figure out, because I was looking at all your information. Like, there's always connections. Things are always connected. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how this is connected, but that makes sense. When you were on bed rest and couldn't do anything, and stop. I mean, like, holy cow.
Okay, so I got to tell you, so I'm building Boom Boom. Okay. I'm in the middle of like raising money and building the business, but I also think that's going to be the outlet for my son. He can come work for me, like in my manufacturing company. Right. So I don't have to rely on somebody else to make sure he's okay and that he's not getting ripped off getting paid. So that's my end game there. Like, wow, blow it up in the next year, and then I will hire my son, and then he'll have a good livelihood, and I can keep my eye on him. It's all connected, sister. It's all connected.
I know it's all connected. Well, I mean, a lot of everything that you have done since your first daughter was born was geared towards your kids. And part of that, as a single mom, because I've been a single mom, is income related. Like, you have to financially provide to live in a house and eat food and all those things. And I think that's one of the most stressful parts of parenting, is how much time you're putting out working and how little income, or how much income is coming in. And when I was first single, I had 4 jobs at one point.
Oh, me too. I'm always on the hustle. You do what you got to do, right? As a mom, you do what you got to do. But if I could shout it from the rooftops to single moms, you have got to develop another stream of income that pays you whether you're working or not. That's why I could sit in the hospital for years, because I didn't have a boss calling me. I didn't have a laptop that I had to go jump into a meeting. I literally just sat there. I wrote my book. I took care of my kids. I had 2 at home and 2 in the hospital. Right. But I learned the hard way that financial instability adds so much stress to what is an already stressful situation. So that's why I was always, you could ask my kids, I was always, if there was an opportunity to make some extra money, I was on it. Yeah. And I love that. But you did it in a way that supported your lifestyle at a time, because I'm thinking 20 years ago, when, like, I've been in online businesses and working like that for over 10, but like this, I remember when COVID happened, people were like, I've never heard of Zoom. And I'm like, I've been here for 9 years. Welcome to the party. Like, I've been doing it for 25 years. Right, I've been working from home.
Right. You were way before I was. So I just love how you connected everything back towards what would give you the income and the time and the flexibility with your kids and your situation. It is hard to do, and that's really amazing. Tell me about the book.
Yeah. So while I was in the NICU, facing every day extremely challenging situations and decisions that I had to make for the twins, And by the way, I was also in court getting divorced. All
Right.
of this was
Yeah.
happening at the same time.
Right.
So Dr. Mims, who was the twins' chief neonatologist, said to me, I think you should write a book. Because he would send all the parents to go talk, parents that were flipping out, their son needs a colonoscopy bag or their baby is maybe not going to make it. They would just say, go talk to the twins' mom. Go talk to Bria and Trey's mom.
Yep.
So I did. I would like hold court in the breastfeeding room and we would just rap about all things wrong, all things like it was just a giant bitch session.
Yeah.
So then Dr. Mims was like, you should write a book and talk about like how you navigated this journey. So I did. I wrote a book, which is the entire spiritual side of the NICU. It's the opportunity for growth and forgiving ourselves and living with intention. So the name of the book is called Preemie Parents, 26 Ways to Grow with Your Premature Baby. And it's literally 26 ways, A, B, C, D. But sort of the foundation of the book is what I lived by accidentally.
Okay.
I developed the principles of peace. And peace is an acronym. So the first P stands for the power of intention is greater than any current reality. So whatever you intend, if you focus on it, it's going to be bigger and more powerful than what you're facing right now. So the power of intention. The E is everything is energy. Everything is energy. So how you show up in the world, whether you're in the NICU or in life, if you show up in the shadows, you're going to live in the shadows. I decided pretty quickly that I was always going to put on a happy face and not be negative when I went to the NICU because I believed that all the babies could pick up that negative energy.
Yeah.
So I always like checked it all at the door. When I walked in, I was like positive and optimistic, even when it was hard to be so. The A means all things will move into balance eventually. We don't know when. That's not for us to tell, but eventually everything is going to move back into balance, and you sort of have to hold on to that hope.
Mm-hmm.
C, caring for yourself precedes caring for anyone else. Again, learn the hard way. I lost a bunch of weight. I look like hell. My brother was like, you look like a ghoul. And I realized I wasn't eating. I was barely sleeping. And he was like, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't possibly take care of these kids. So I started to prioritize my own health.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is that everything is exactly as the universe intended it to be. Like, I believe I was chosen. I'm a good messenger for all of this, crazy stuff that happened. Like I talk about it. My life is my classroom. Yep. So I do think everything is divinely intended. So if you were chosen, Jennifer, you're special. You have a NICU baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of work, right? And you don't even know. I mean, pregnancy, labor and delivery, postpartum, you don't even know what questions to ask. And
right.
A lot of us get through it and then we're sort of pissed that no one shared information with us because we didn't know the questions to ask. And, I understand that, but that's so great that you were navigating it in a way that I love how everything ties back to your kids. I knew that would be the common denominator, but
yeah, everything I do ties back to my kids.
How extraordinary. What are you doing now with the corporate training? Because I think that's the only thing. So you stopped your consultancy business, but eventually you went
rebooted it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was? Okay.
Yeah. So I just rebooted it. So from a training standpoint, people tend to bring me in when their organization is in a state of transition. So they're being acquired, they're merging, they're laying off people, they're growing really rapidly. They bring me in to do capacity building. So from a strategic standpoint, I put together a strategic plan, the go forward plan. And then I train everybody from the C-level executives all the way down to make sure that everyone's aligned on the new goal. Everyone's clear on what their role is and they're accountable. Yeah. So I've done a lot of work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, like turning around emergency room departments. I've done a lot with patient experience and human experience, but yeah, like I said, people tend to hire me when they're trying to Here, let me show you this. My
Okay.
kids gave me this. I'm the chaos coordinator.
Right. So
So I'm in that in my personal life, and that's when they bring me in when there's chaos and they need it reined in.
I love that. With all of this and 4 kids and doing it yourself and them being adults now, what advice I'd like to kind of end on what you would share with other people, because your businesses might not be their businesses, but the philosophy is the same no matter what. So, what would you share with other women, single or not, who are struggling with that work and parenting balance? And yeah, I would love that.
Um, yeah, that's a great question. I think I'm gonna say this to start with. If what you're doing doesn't make you happy, you should find something else to do. Because if you have stress, it's stressful. Let's just call it what it is. It's very stressful raising kids, married, single, whatever. It's stressful. Then if you spend your 9 to 5 going to a job you can't stand, it amplifies it even more. So the first thing is I would say find something that you love to do and pursue that. The second thing I would say is to be courageous, to be brave, and start a side hustle. So I'm actually launching a course in a couple of weeks, which is all about finding your perfect side hustle.
Oh,
And
yay.
it's targeted to women specifically.
Okay.
And I think the reason I said it takes courage is because it's very scary being out on your own, not having a safety net. You're not working with like a big group of people. Like you're literally on your own, starting something that you've conceived of it in your brain, and hopefully it's burning in your soul.
Yeah.
But my biggest advice is to start something else. Like do your job, do what you got to do, pay your bills. But instead of coming home and flopping on the couch and watching The Bachelor or watching something nonsensical, put that same amount of time, it's 4 or 5 hours after you put the kids to bed, and build your own business, whatever it is. And by the way, if you're listeners, I'm on all the socials. If anybody wants information or advice on what they should start or how to start it, I am completely available. I am team
Yes.
women power. So whatever I could do, I'll do.
I love that. I do workforce development grants for doulas in the state of Nevada. And I think,
What?
yeah, one of the misconceptions is that you're going to go through the course, you're going to go through the training, and then, if you build it, they will come. And women who are not working and deciding not to work and trying to launch this, it's really challenging. And so we encourage people, like, keep your part-time job. This
Yes,
can replace that or your full-time job, but that's not going to happen today. uh,
exactly.
Building a business can take time, and we offer all the support for that. But started as a side hustle with side hustle mentality. The only caveat to that, I think I would add, is that it's not a hobby, it's a business. And when you're doing a side
Right.
hustle, this is what you want to be full time in the future. And it can be, but not if you're treating it like a hobby, and not if you put yourself in such a stressful situation where you have no income. So
Yeah.
I
There's
see that a lot.
there's two things there. One is I don't even use the word side hustle. I'm using it
Yeah.
here because that's what everybody knows. But if
Yeah.
you treat it like a business, it will pay you like a business.
Right.
So
Right.
that is like part of that course is like, here's how you actually set up a business. Side hustle is like Uber Eats, right?
Yeah.
A real business is like you build it. For me, I'm always about the legacy. So I'm building 2 businesses right now that I could leave to my kids to do with what they want, leave it to their kids. Um, so yeah, the first thing that you said, it's all about the mindset. It's a real
Yeah.
business. And the second thing is don't be stupid. If you
You said it. It
if
wasn't
you
even me.
if you have a job that's paying your bills, do not quit
Yeah.
because you think this is going to pay you overnight. Listen, at one point, I had 4 freelance jobs. I was making a boatload of money. I was not sleeping, but I took all that money and paid down most of my debt. I
Mhm.
had 4 gigs for 2 years and I refused to quit any of them. So, why I was building my business. So, yeah, Don't make dumb decisions in pursuit of your dream. Keep your job, and your dream you'll build it, you'll invest in it, and before you know it, it'll just like sprout flowers.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much. We could go in a million directions
I
here.
know.
Yes, thank you so much for being on and sharing.
You were awesome. Thank you so much.